You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Ooh, mountains, we gon' walk it out. Mountains, and I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence is quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise you will take the world to its knees. Mountains, bring it to its feet. Mountains, and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope, and but that we have each other, but that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, we'll rise, oh, oh, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I will rise 1,000 times again. We'll rise up, high like the waves, we'll rise up, in spite of the ache, we'll rise up, and we'll do the 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. Oh, 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 we'll rise. We'll rise.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Shenandoah Valley. What does it mean to be a Unitarian Universalist? It means many things. This is one. This is from Erica Hewitt, the Minister of Worship Arts with the UUA. To be a Unitarian Universalist means we'll never be done with the work. The work of telling the truth about oppression, the work of resisting any laws, policies, or practices that deny anyone their humanity. The work of stubbornly seeking out the spark of the divine in each other, no matter what. The work of creating heaven on earth. To be a Unitarian Universalist also means we're not alone in the work. We are not alone because of our promises to love one another. We're not alone because we're companions on the journey. We grow ourselves into allies, helping one another get free, because none of us is truly free until all of us are free. We have a special announcement today, and here is Evan with that announcement.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Evan Yannick, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Today marks the approximate 1-year anniversary of the craziness that has become our current state. But I want to remind you and remind myself that this current state is not permanent. Today is also the kickoff of our annual Canvas Drive. Although our church, like many organizations, has had its fair share of struggles throughout the past year, we have worked to create services and online gatherings that replicate the feelings of warmth and togetherness that make our church special. I know it has not been the same, but the new year promises to reunite us again. One silver lining has been getting to reflect on what is important in our lives, understand what we miss the most when we cannot have it. And for many of us, the church family rises towards the top of that list. As the weather warms and we see the spring flowers begin to bloom, I know that most of us are feeling a sense of renewal, a desire to shed the darkness and move forward. The nice thing is that it's not just one of us, it's all of us. And when many people share the same feeling, things get done. I believe that the church will not just get back to the way it used to be. I believe will be something new and better because of the time we've spent reflecting and learning. We will get back to the church with a renewed sense of purpose and now a shared history that we can use to ensure the church is committed to its mission. In 2019, UUCSV created a strategic plan that sought to help forge a path of sustainable growth for the next few years. Well, like Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. 2020 certainly threw a good punch. But I believe UUCSV was able to recover from the first punch and handle the ongoing challenges with grace. We have consistently gotten hundreds of views on our services. We've continued to grow, even adding new members during the pandemic. And we have supported our community where and when we can. We have been able to continue paying our full-time staff and part-time staff who have all had their own personal challenges during the pandemic. They have risen to the occasion spectacularly, and we thank them. We have been able to do this because of our members and friends who continued throughout the pandemic to support the church through their financial commitments. I'm here today to ask you to make a commitment to the future of our church. Each year, we plan for the upcoming year, and we do so by asking for a financial pledge. The renewal of our church begins with each one of you choosing to make that pledge. This week, you will receive an email with our pledge form. It is easy as filling out a short form online. No mailing, no cards. We are asking that everyone complete this step as soon as possible. I appreciate all of the hard work that everyone has done over this past year to make our community last. It's an amazing community. Please be as generous as you can be to help our church renew itself. Thanks so much.
There being no other announcements, let the service begin.
Amid all the noise in our lives, we take this moment to sit in silence, to give thanks for another day, to give thanks for all of those in our lives who have brought us warmth and love, to give thanks for the gift of life. We know we are on a pilgrimage here for a brief moment in time. Let us open ourselves here, now, to the process of becoming more whole, of living more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, of understanding more completely the meaning of our lives here on this earth. May the fire of this chalice that we light today guide us through these days together. May it warm our hearts, may it guide our actions, may it illuminate our thinking, and may it remain with you throughout our time together.
This is hymn number 354, We Laugh, We Cry.
Good morning. I am Kara Dillow, and I am a friend of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Shenandoah Valley and wife to Evan Yannick. I have the great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Nancy Sehested. I'm a Pilates instructor, and the studio I worked at for the last 7 years before COVID-19 was owned by Nancy's daughter. Nancy has been my Pilates student, my studio mom, and my creative writing inspiration. Nancy is a graduate of Union Theological Seminary in New York City, which may sound familiar because it is the alma mater to our own Reverend Michael Carter. Nancy has been a Southern Baptist minister for over 30 years. She was one of the very first women ordained as a Southern Baptist minister and called to pastor in a church. She is a pioneer, and it was not an easy road. In Nancy's own words in Women of Achievement, What the association told the world is that God can do all things except call a woman to preach. And in my mind, it is an issue of the freedom of the Holy Spirit. Nancy has now pastored in churches in Atlanta, Memphis, and Asheville. Currently, she serves as a co-pastor of the Circle of Mercy congregation in Asheville, North Carolina. Nancy also raised two beautiful daughters who now pioneer in their own ways, and she helps with the grandkids where she can. In addition to pastoring, Nancy spent over 10 years as a chaplain in high-security men's prisons. And I had the honor of witnessing Nancy from afar spend years writing her story about this experience. I knew Nancy a while before I knew she had spent years in high-security prisons. She's bright, sweet, and very calm. I was shocked and intrigued. I was thrilled to get my hands on her book, Marked for Life, a prison chaplain story. What I experienced reading Marked for Life were three main things. One, I grew to know Nancy in a new and even more respectful light. Two, every person, every prisoner has his or her own unique story, and sometimes it's terrible. And three, some of us get to experience life with the wind at our back, and some get life with gale force headwinds. And in the end, how do we hold on to our own goodness when we might confront the world? Nancy does it time and time again because of her faith and because of her purpose. I learned that kindness has the most power, and despite our unique stories, we all are working towards something. We all want something out of life. Nancy's story is so truthful and clear. You can feel her ache and confusion sometimes so poignantly. In the end, you feel her dedication to the good, the higher cause, and you support her on her tremendous journey. Let's take some time now to open our hearts and hear Nancy speak from her own place. Everyone, please welcome Nancy Hastings Sehested.
The Fist by Mary Oliver. There are days when the sun goes down like a fist. Though, of course, if you see anything in the heavens in this way, you had better get your eyes checked. Or better still, your diminished spirit. The heavens have no fist. Or wouldn't they have been shaking it for 1,000 years now? And even longer than that, at the dull, brutish ways of humankind, heaven's own creation. Instead, such patience, such willingness to let us continue to hear little by little the voices only so far in pockets of the world, suggesting the possibilities of peace. Keep looking. Behold how the fist opens with invitation.
Some of us are weighed down with grief or fear or disappointment, yet others have something exciting happening in their lives. Sharing our joys and sorrows is a very important part of our service. Unfortunately, we don't get to light candles anymore, but we are all in everyone's minds, and the candles can be lighted in your own home as you think about what you might want to say today.
I'm lighting this candle, a candle of joy for Jim Carillon. Jim sent this message to share with the congregation. Dear friends at UUCSV, I am so thankful to share the joy of so many of you sending your love, prayers, food, emails, and especially visits since my bike accident 2 weeks ago. Kudos especially to Larry and the whole congregational care team for stepping up so well again. Aileen and I are doing pretty well now after such a scary accident. After my 4 days in the hospital and then 4 in rehab, I'm now home and doing much better. I have to wear a back brace for 3 months to protect my 2 broken vertebrae and a rib. But with PT, OT, and all your support, I'm beginning to get a little better each day. Hope to steadily and carefully get back to normal in maybe 6 months. UUCSV is such a wonderfully supportive and loving community. Your collective and individual kindnesses keeps us going. Thank you all for being there for me.
Woke up this morning with a song in my heart, blessed to see the light of day. I yawn and stretch and my mind starts wondering what's gonna come my way. Morning time is magical, garden full of promises. It started out strong, I hope this feeling lasts. Big cup of joy and I'm out on the road, headed towards a daily grind. There's too much traffic and bad news on the radio, but I don't pay it no mind. Life is full of obstacles, but none that I can overcome. Keep my head on straight and make this feeling last. The key to life is in the living, one moment at a time. Let the lessons flow and understanding grow. Leave fear and doubt behind. Heading home to family at the end of the day, blessed by grace and the setting sun. Wolf blitz are droning on about the breaking news and how truth and facts are spun. My brother's not my enemy. We all want the same things. When I keep love in my heart, I hope this feeling lasts. I hope this feeling lasts. Help me make this feeling last, y'all. I want this feeling to last.
Our meditation today is by Rabbi Harold Kushner, A Prayer for the World. Let the rain come and wash away the ancient grudges, the bitter hatreds held and nurtured over generations. Let the rain wash away the memory of the hurt, the neglect. Let the sun come out and fill the sky with rainbows. Let the warmth of the sun heal us whenever we are broken. Let it burn away the fog so that we see each other clearly, that we see beyond labels, beyond accents, gender, or skin color. Let the warmth and brightness of the sun melt our selfishness so that we can share the joys and feel the sorrow of our neighbors. Let the light of the sun be so strong that we will see all people as our neighbors. Let the earth, nourished by rain, bring forth flowers to surround us with beauty, and let the mountains teach our hearts to reach upward to heaven. Now, we might want to meditate for a minute or two on that. Your contributions are valuable. We obviously can't put them in the plate, so please mail them to us at the address you will see on the screen.
Friends, peace be with you. I am delighted to be welcomed into your congregational life today, and a special thanks to Reverend Michael and Diane and Evan and all who helped put this together. I am so grateful for this congregation, for your faithfulness as keepers of the flame of justice and mercy. You continue to pull back the darkness and let in the light of hope and peace. Take a deep breath, my friends. Let us breathe in gratitude. We have made it through this past year with all of its upheavals and uncertainties. From the shadowlands of living in a pandemic, there is an opening. Truths are being revealed in vivid ways, and hope is revealing itself again. The thin veil of our illusion of separateness has lifted, and we are keenly aware that we are connected to each other. As your seventh principle so beautifully proclaims, connected to each other in the interdependent web of all existence. When history beams its light on this time in our world, perhaps we will be known less by the battles we won and lost, and more by the stories we lived and told. What stories hold up the mirror to us and tell us the truth about our lives? And what stories propel us to stay engaged in work for the common good? The stories I like best are the ones where we find ourselves in crisis, in a place where our backs are up against a wall, and we discover who we are, and we find a pathway through, and we find some new places within us that can bring us together rather than further apart. The stories I like best are the honest ones about the heartaches as well as the hope. I served as a prison chaplain for 13 years in a high security prisons for men. It was a place to catch stories of the full range of being human, raw and exposed. Through a razor wire fence, it's amazing how clearly one can see the mess and the miracle. I never imagined being in prison, but it seemed that neither did anyone else who was there. I learned a few things quickly. That guns are not allowed inside the prison. It's too dangerous. I learned that staff and inmates were forbidden by policy to use any derogatory language against anyone's race, religion, gender, or identity. And inmates could be sent to solitary confinement with the charge of inciting a riot. Staff could be disciplined and dismissed with the charge of incite to riot. Even the prison system knows that we are interconnected and that words matter. It was also against policy for staff to use profanity, which shouldn't have been a hardship for a chaplain. But once I let out a few choice words in front of some officers after one inane new policy or another. So I went to the warden and confessed and apologized. And he says, "Oh, I knew you had it in you. We all know you're no angel." Well, I knew that. I just don't like to go public with it. Really, I failed at a lot of things, and I confess that I've wanted to do something big for God, Something big for the sacred call of justice. You know, dismantle the prison system and end mass incarceration. But as a chaplain, I trafficked in the small acts and small encounters, the place where most of us find ourselves in the everyday. I became a witness, bearing witness to the tragedy of lives stuck in a punitive system where endless sorrow can shatter the soul. And I also saw and bore witness to the strength of the human spirit and the hope that emerged from impossible circumstances. Sometimes I saw the fist open with invitation to another way. One such story happened just as I was greeting the men for a midweek service in the chapel. To my surprise, Blake showed up. "Oh, chap, I didn't come for the service. I came to see you. I got to see you now." Ushering him into my office, he kept talking. "You got some time?" "Oh, it doesn't matter. This is life or death. I want to kill a guy." You know, it's funny what working for so many years in a prison can do to you. You can grow accustomed to impulsive words like that. So I simply asked, "You want to kill anyone in particular?" "Yeah, a guy on my block," Blake said. "He called me a liar and a snitch, and I got to stand up to him. I got to keep my good name." Well, Blake's good name was usually associated with words like annoying and mouthy. I told him it sounded like his mind was already made up. "Well," he said, "I started thinking about it. I got 6 years left, and if I do this guy in, even if I just beat him up real bad, I'll get more time. And I got plans when I get out of here. So I figured that I'd come see you first and see if you had any ideas." "Well," I said, "can you just avoid this guy?" "No way. I hear his lies about me and I just want to smash him." "But you haven't yet. That's good. What does your religion tell you?" "This got nothing to do with religion." Blank anchored his arms on top of his crossed legs. "Oh, I see what you're trying to do. You want me to say that my religion believes in respect all life. You want me to say that my religion says don't hurt anybody. But that's just not practical. You can't believe what we're up against in here. If I don't stand up to this guy, then everybody will think I'm weak. No can do." "Blake, why do you give a flying fig about what that guy thinks about you? Didn't you tell me that you liked reading The Lord of the Rings? Remember when they were going into battle and they were sure that their enemy would destroy them?" Lady Galadriel said, "Hope remains while the company is true." You got some buddies to hang in there with you. Let that guy go. I'll bet you can come up with something. Blake jumped out of his chair and headed for the door. "That's it!" He stomped one foot and then the other, chanting, "Hope remains while the company is true." I wasn't sure what I'd just witnessed, but I can't say I held out a great deal of hope for him. The next afternoon, Blake returned with news from the front lines. "Chap, I talked to my buddies. Then I sat up all night thinking about it. And I even thought about some stuff that I did in the past and how I made things worse. I didn't want to do time in lockup over this guy. So when the canteen opened, I bought 2 cups of coffee and a bag of chips. Then I asked the guy if he wanted to have coffee, and we sat down at the table. I opened up the bag of chips and said, "Hey man, why don't we just lay this stuff down?" Well, the guy kind of smiled and he kept drinking the coffee. and then he ate all the chips. And that was it. Blake, that was it. You did it. "Oh, thanks, chap," he said. He got up and left with a wave, stomping his feet again and chanting, "Hope remains while the company is true." "Keep looking," wrote Mary Oliver. "Keep looking. Behold how the fist opens with invitation." My office door was opened to hear the choir members practicing. Suddenly I heard yelling. A fight broke out among choir members. Imagine. I bolted from my office. Fists were punching into one face and another. I screamed as I walked toward them. "Choir is over for today. Leave. All of you just leave now." I was ignored. I jumped up on a chair to make myself big and yelled louder, "Stop!" Still, I was ignored. I raced into my office to call for help. Seconds later, a sergeant and several officers ran into the middle of the mess. The fighters were pulled apart and handcuffed, and the other choir members darted like ants to the edge of the room. Within minutes, the chapel was restored to calm, and the room emptied. Alone, I sank like an anchor in my desk chair. I thought, oh, this was nothing more than a schoolyard brawl. Teachers see this every day, I assured myself. Staff go home in one piece usually, I thought. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The sergeant appeared at my office door. There was no greeting, no recap of the event. He just pointed his finger at me and he said, "You don't like it, but you need me. And I don't like it, but I need you." "Why, yes, Sergeant, that is true. I depend on you and your officers for the safety and security of this floor. But what do you need me for?" He said, "I need you to keep me from using undue physical force. I need you to teach me another kind of force." Another kind of force? Friends, don't we know something about another kind of force? Hasn't such a force seized your own lives and spun you around with healing and hope? Haven't you known this force? Oh, yes, you practice it. You are ablaze with its possibility. You are together as a community, as a sacred force for justice and mercy. You know the sacred force of kindness over cruelty, mercy over revenge, hope over despair, love over fear. And so, my friends, may you continue to know the soul force of courage, to face the injustices and the sufferings and the failings of our day. And may you know within you the force of strength, of compassion, and the unwavering vision for us and all of creation to live in peace and unafraid. For you see, hope remains here in this true company. We hear little by little the voices, only so far in pockets of the world, suggesting the possibilities of peace. Keep looking. Keep looking. Behold how the fist opens. with invitation.
This is hymn number 370, All People That on Earth Do Dwell.
May the truth that sets us free, the hope that never dies, and the love that casts out fear lead us forward together until the dawn breaks and the shadows flee away. Those words were spoken every Sunday by our minister at the Charlotte UU Church.
Springtime, a time for us to be together, a happy time, no more saddest time, a time for us to be as one. I am the wind, you are a feather. Together we will float on to never, 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 springtime, springtime, a time for us to be together, a happy time, no more saddest time, a time for us to be as one. Tears are gone, fears have vanished, the hurt has disappeared, and God knows it's been a hell of a year, but now it's springtime.